everyone, and welcome back to Collingwood Conversations. If you guys are new here, be sure to check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We are everywhere. And I mean, there's not really much we can talk about. I mean, there's a lot we can talk about because fuck, what a loss. But before we get into the round recap, it's the Stubby Club round recap. Big shout out to the Stubby Club who continue to back us with their support. They give us items to do giveaways for game day, game day predictions, game day giveaways, which Huddo actually won this week. So well done, Huddo. Yours has actually been posted today, so it should be there by maybe Friday. But yeah, be sure to check out our Instagram for game day giveaways and more. And also, there's a $250 and more opportunity to invest. There's still 3 more weeks left, so be sure to check out that because you get a lot of benefits from the Stubby Club. But let's get started. Stubby Club round recap. I'll just give my 2 cents worth first as per usual, and all I've got to say is, what the fuck? Like, I went into that game confident that we could get the win, and then obviously a late omission of Pendles. I still had a bit of fucking hope, but I tell you, by the end of that second quarter, even the first quarter, I was like, nah, fuck this, no thanks. And I switched to watch the NRL because my NRL team got the win 38-0.
Weak.
But nah, in all honesty, I had split screen. It was just, I couldn't deal with seeing it because fuck me. But I'll pass it off to Huddo for his round recap bit first.
All right, so I definitely forced myself to sit through all 4 quarters, and I can say I wasn't really rewarded.
Nah.
It was disappointing. They smashed us out of the water, and they did it early, and they did it through the midfield. I don't know, we don't seem to have an ability to stop a nosebleed in the midfield. Once it starts, it just keeps going and going and going. I said to the guys in the group chat, it doesn't look like we seem to set up defensively. When you're losing in the midfield, there's nothing wrong for 5-10 minutes. Set up defensively, stop that nosebleed, start again.
Yeah. We
didn't seem to have that ability. I don't know if it was because of the bodies we put through the midfield or whether it was just because we had a mentality of we're going to get the ball back. A lot of guys had quiet games. A lot of guys. Probably too many to mention, to be honest.
Yeah. Braden Maynard, though, had a standout game.
He played amazing, and his one-on-one duels in the back line a couple of times against Bontempelli, which is not an easy task for anyone. He did really well, stood up well. The only knock on Maynard, which is the same knock on him, he's not a very good user of the ball by foot, but he's still young. Hopefully that's something that can be sort of refined in him. I liked John Noble as well. Thought he did some good things, good run and carry. Jeremy Howe had a good bounce back game for mine. Darcy Moore was a lot better. He had a couple of goals kicked on him, but a couple of them were sort of lucky over the back. And one of those goals by Norton out of that pack, there's not much you can do to stop that.
Yeah.
And one of the goals, bit clumsy in the marking contest, gave up a free kick. You can't really complain with his effort in his game. Jack Crisp, again, touch of class in the midfield. He's now adding that scoring to his game, couple of good goals, but not much help. Lipinski tried hard, but wasn't as effective as he has been. Josh Dacos was down a bit, has been 2 weeks in a row. Nick Dacos looked good off the half-back line, touch of class, but yeah, not many guys that you can say really had a really, really good game.
Absolutely. I'll pass it off to Shipper for his reaction to that and his thoughts on the game. Take it away, Shipper.
Yeah, my reviews about Ozark. I turned the footy off after 16 minutes. So great show. I watched that. I saw the finale was fantastic. I did actually stick with us. I mean, I could have turned us off at around about the 17
any point in the
mark.
game.
I think once that first 6 goals, I was like, well, that's it. Game's gone.
Yep.
Was hoping we'd get back in. I thought we
started somewhat, but it was a bit too late.
A couple of times, but just couldn't match them. They were just far too good. And the midfield was where the damage was done. Need to work on stopping a those run-ons. It was pretty similar in a lot of ways to last week as well. So Richmond and Bulldogs. So the analogy Fly used last week was that we're 8 weeks into a relationship and Richmond are married with 2 kids or whatever. I thought was probably reasonably appropriate again, because you've got the team that played off in the grand final last year. They were ready for a rebound. Bontempelli was back. They had the mullet power.
Yep.
In the
Yes.
in the preview, one mullet, but I guess twice as many mullets, I think, with Norton and
I think Bailey Smith's one mullet counts for 2 players' mullets on the
he's a
opposing
super
team.
player, Bailey Smith.
Yes.
So there was a bit of talk about some illness still running through the club, so perhaps that's a reason. You don't like to use excuses, but it may have been a factor. So hoping for a rebound this week against Freo. Was pleasing in a way to see them get knocked off, but
yes,
maybe they're ready to fight back at home and get themselves back on track. But hopefully that'll dent their confidence and we'll be able to head over with nothing to lose. I think we've got a reasonably good travel record over recent times. I think it's a good chance for the boys to spend a bit of time together, to sort of bond, to sort of galvanise us against them. Theme that's pretty strong for Collingwood. I think they need to sort of stand up and show what a strong, proud club we are and have a red hot dip. And it could be a good opportunity. Freo, they're sort of top 4 and finals challenges, but maybe there's some flaws in their game that have been uncovered, and hopefully we can
pick those
have
apart.
a red hot crack over there.
Yeah, absolutely. And tangenting into our round preview now, but before we do, we've got to give a big special mention to our new sponsor / partner that's come on board, Winsher Sports, or Winsher Australia. Pardon me. First of all, they are a great... No, I'll keep that in. No, I will edit it out. But no, they are a great company. They have great prices, great quality footballs, not just footballs, but obviously because it's an AFL-based podcast, we've got to talk about their Aussie rules balls. So they are a great competitor to Sharon. And honestly, if I'm being honest, which I am, obviously, they are much better quality than a Sharon for a fraction of the fucking price. Now, when I say a fraction, I mean example. The Sharon Precision, which is obviously a training football used by the Melbourne Demons and other clubs as well. And it's a red leather ball, red leather, yellow leather. Now, it's a red leather ball with the yellow stripe down for a kicking guide that is $159 fucking dollars. And I'm sorry, I don't have $159 to fucking spare. And I'm sure you guys don't. But
neither do most local clubs.
No, exactly. But Winsher, they have the exact same design, but they also have the hand guides to where to place your hands on the ball, which is an extra bit, especially to help kids as well. And the leather ball for them is $119, which is a much, much better price compared to $159. And with our code 1892, you get 10% off that as well. So you can only imagine that. So be sure to head to Winsher Sports or Winsher Australia. No, sorry, it's winshersports.com.au, Winsher Australia on social media, and use the code 1892 for 10% off at checkout. Right, the Winsher Sports round preview coming up, round 10. It is Sir Doug Nicholls round. Well, round 1 of 2 of them, because next round is also Doug Nicholls round. First of all, ahead of this game, we also want to pay respects to our elders, past and present and future, of all Indigenous landowners. I'm currently on Minjungbul mob land, which is in the Tweed Heads, Tweed Northern Rivers area. I don't know about you guys, about where you are.
Wrong.
Yep. And what about you, Huddo? Do you know the land that yours is?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. Sorry, mate. No.
No, that's fine, mate. But regardless, we want to extend our respects to elders, and not just elders, but any and all Indigenous people of all walks of life, no matter where you are in Australia and across the world. And also always was, always will be Indigenous land. But let's get started. Doug Nicholls round is coming up, and we are taking on a somewhat out of form Freo, because they're just as out of form as we are this week in particular. I think Freo got found out, in my opinion, like Shipper was alluding to just before. I think that we should bring in Cox, He's not going to be the game winner. He's not a game winner for us, but I think he'll just have that edge. And I think my prediction is we'll get the win by 1 to 18 points. And I'll cross it off to Huddo for his bits on what his Winsher round preview.
Okay, first up, the Winsher preview. I know my kids are looking forward to getting their hands on a couple of those footies and taking them down to the ground and having a kick. So I can't wait for that.
Yes.
So Fremantle, I think one of the caveats we have to look at with Fremantle and their loss to Gold Coast is A, they were playing in horrendous conditions. They're missing a few players due to COVID. So let's maybe take that loss with a bit of a grain of salt. It was a bad loss for them, but it's probably not the end of the world for them. As CJ alluded to, I think Cox needs to come in. He's actually had a dominant month at the VFL. A lot of hit-outs. He's getting around the ground well. He's averaging 20-odd possessions, kicking a couple of goals a game. He's earned that spot. He's earned a spot in the side through his performance. You have to get him in.
And what's your theory behind the glasses that you were talking to us earlier about?
Yeah, so we're chatting about this. While the glasses help Mason and he needs them, I think they might be a bit of a hindrance for him in night games. I think he might be struggling a little bit with the glare, which is why we've seen him so dominant at the VFL. And then the 2 games he's played at AFL this year have been under lights, and he's looked a bit sort of blindsided, for lack of a better term. I mean, there's the footy's going around to the ball, hitting him in the head, and I think that might have had a bit of a factor into that. I've got Cox as one of the ins.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Ginnifan should be back. Pendlebury back. So
do you think Ollie Henry retains his spot?
I think he should. Yeah,
I think he should.
As I said in my review, he did some really good things. A couple of bad decisions. That first one on the pass to DeGoey, I actually blamed DeGoey more than I blame Henry for that.
Yep.
Senior player shouldn't be calling for that ball. He should be going, telling the young kid, go back, have a shot. He nails that goal. He gets the confidence. He then takes a 3-4 point game to a 4-goal game, and he looks great.
Mm-hmm.
He did some really clever things, just didn't finish it on the scoreboard.
Yep.
I have either Murphy or Rusco coming in for Madgen.
Mm-hmm.
Murphy played his first game back in the VFL and looked good, and Rusco has looked good in the VFL, sort of playing that halfback role all year. Coming out of the side, I have Callum Brown coming back out. He didn't offer a lot Friday night. Obviously, Madgen's injured. He'll come out. Begg, he looked good his first game. He didn't look good at all Friday night.
No, he didn't. He looked out of sorts.
He's too short to play. I said it last week, and I'll say it again. He's too short to play in the ruck. While I do think we need to get games into the kids, we can't play them all every week.
Yeah.
And the last I have coming out, I think it's a bit of a toss-up between Tyler Brown and Will Hoskin-Elliott.
Mm-hmm.
I've stated this to you. We've seen all we need to see with Will Hoskin-Elliott. He's a serviceable player, and he's a great guy and that, but I don't think he can find another level in his game.
Yeah.
So I would rather see one of the younger players get a run over Will Hoskin-Elliott.
Yep.
Tyler Brown, he wasn't too bad on Friday, but once again, he's just a guy. He doesn't seem to have another level that he can go to.
Yeah.
I hope I'm wrong on him, but at this stage, he just doesn't seem to have that. Fremantle looking to get a few players back. Obviously, one Nat Fife.
You mean Flag Mantle?
Yeah, Flag Mantle. Okay, sure. How many have they won? Stop me if I'm wrong. It's 0. Yes.
Did you see the tattoos though this past week?
I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
For anyone who didn't, they'll be right here.
Tattoos, but yeah.
For anyone who didn't, they'll be right here in the footage of the episode. So if you want to go to our video version, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, go to YouTube and Facebook, watch the video to see those tattoos.
Definitely. I look a lot better on video than what I sound. No. I don't see us winning Sunday, hand on heart. What I would like to see is obviously a better effort than Friday and staying competitive throughout the game, not being blown out pretty quickly and then holding in and holding that line. I'd like to see us put it to them, but I see Freo sort of comfortably 20 to 25 points.
Okay, yep.
Beating us, yeah.
No, I get you. And Shipper, what's your preview and prediction? How do you think we'll go, etc.?
Yeah, I got a bit carried away before my review. I just switched into preview.
No, it's fair. It's all good.
Yeah, I'd like to sort of mention Ollie Henry. I think I'm a glass half full kind of guy, and I think the positive there obviously is that he's getting a ton of the ball. Like he's 6-7 possessions, marks inside 50. Well, clearly the conversion. Well, when it comes, because that's the hardest part of being a forward is getting the ball. So the fact that he's getting the ball is a positive sign. So they'll be working really hard to get him right and capitalize. So yeah, I think that's going to be important, and hopefully this is a real good learning opportunity for him.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Brown as well. I think he's taking some steps forward too. I know he's sort of a bit fringy, but I'm starting to see a few little signs there that he's tackling and pressure and some of the defensive work. I think he's getting there. He was mentioned last week by Nathan Buckley when the issue of coach roastings came up with the North Melbourne coach apologised for a spray, and I'd read Buckley had responded with 2 of his sprays, and he did say that Tyler Brown was on the end of one from last year's Anzac Day that he thought in hindsight was probably a bit over the top and not really deserved. So something like that can dent a young guy's confidence. So hopefully he's sort of getting the belief. I think there's some good signs there for the 2 of those guys. Aiden Begg, I think he's probably got another game in the ones. I think it's important to give them a run. Like if you give them 1 or 2 and then drop them if they don't get a touch, you've got to get that continuity. 4 or 5, I think, is enough to sort of
gauge if they're good enough this season, sort of thing.
And just sort of get the games into you. I think we're all starting to sort of realise it's a development year for the club. We sort of got our hopes up a bit. The finals, I mean, we're not out of finals, so hopefully a big road win could happen here, and we're back in town and starting to feel some confidence again. I saw on the supporters page on Facebook some disgruntled supporters were writing off the next 4 rounds, and we've got Hawthorn in there. I think Hawthorn are a similar sort of phase to us in sort of developing. They showed a bit of promise early, but have sort of dropped off a bit more than us. I think we're still playing reasonably well, and I just need a little bit of luck and a bit of tweaking. Let's stop those nosebleeds. Let's stop that run on when the opposition get a run on, because it does seem to be that footy overall, it's a lot more momentum based, and the other part of that is capitalising when you've got momentum. So that Essendon Anzac Day game, I remember saying the conversion was key to that win, and it's gone since. So hopefully they can get the conversion back, and we can start taking our chances, because Richmond, I thought we created enough chances, and there are a couple on Friday night, even though we never really threatened to get back in the game. So I think if we can start taking our chances better, stay positive. It's a difficult sort of time of year. The weather's starting to get colder. If you're not getting the wins, it can be tough to sort of continue through a footy season when you're sort of 9th and 10th. But yeah, I hope they stay positive and we can see a really good surprise upset this week. I mean, I'm not really expecting it. My head says, Freo beat us, but the heart says, hang on, we're a good chance here. Let's get out there and show them what it means to be Collingwood. We're best when our backs are against the wall sometimes. So yeah, I'm taking that hope into Sunday, and
okay,
hope
and
the heart wins
score,
over the head this time.
Okay, and margin prediction then.
It'll be a close one. Collingwood by 3 points. I'm kind of a bit against the grain. I predicted this last week, thinking Bulldogs would be too good,
and they were.
So yeah, I think I'm Yeah, I don't know. My footy tipping hasn't been great. I think I'm going about 5 or 6. So
No, that's fair. And that about
probably won't
concludes
get
our
on.
Winsher. I think that more or less concludes the Winsher review, preview. But before we go into Huddo's history, I'd like to talk about our Indigenous round jersey, or our, Sir Doug Nicholls round jersey. Again, in the video episode, if you are listening on Apple, Spotify, or anywhere that's audio, and if you're watching, the image will flop up right here of our 2022 Sir Doug Nicholls round jersey, which is an amazing jersey, if I'm being honest. I love the story behind it. And get keen because we actually have the designer of that jersey coming on the podcast next week, which honestly I'm so excited for, because not only did he design it, he's actually also a Collingwood fucking tragic. Like it's not just the Collingwood club hiring someone to do it. They actually sourced a Collingwood tragic. This dude has been to almost every game that I can think of. He was at 2018. He was at 2010. Anyway, so we've got Tyson Austin joining us for next week's episode. So get keen, because I can't wait to hear about it and everything from him, about his fandom, like his fanaticness of the club, and what it meant to him to be asked to design the jersey himself. It's going to be amazing. And what are your guys' thoughts on the meaning behind the design? Because I think it's fucking amazing.
Yeah, I love the story. Love the story on that. A new start, sort of put the do better and the racism history behind. Yeah, I love the story and the
I love the back with the Coolamon with the eggs that are nurturing the young players as well. I like that symbolism as well, which is great. What are your thoughts on the jersey, Huddo?
I absolutely love it. I love the story behind it. I love the Doug Nicholls jumpers. Every club jumpers, and I love every year. I love them.
This year's, in my opinion, sorry to interrupt. My opinion, this year's standouts, not including Collingwood, Melbourne's, Sydney's, and North Melbourne this year are the best ones.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Sorry, continue.
Yeah. So sorry. Yeah. Love the story behind it. I love the fact that we're not going to corporate design companies to have them designed.
Exactly.
Proper Indigenous artists coming in, designing it, telling a story. That's how it should be. One of the things I floated with you guys, let's use it as our alternative jumper.
Right?
I mean,
I think it's a great idea.
I'd much rather see the guys run out in that 5-7 times a week than
a week. You mean a year?
A year, yeah. Than some fly-by random jumper.
Yeah.
I mean,
however, I am an advocate for bring back the swooping magpie. I am an advocate. Bring back the swooping magpie as an alternate. But yes, continue.
Bring back the white back jumpers and then use the Indigenous jumper as the alternative, and we're set. No, I really love the jumper. Love the design. Can't wait to see it on the boys Sunday. And I know I'm looking at getting one myself when I've got the money there for it, because every year it is a great design.
It always is. It never fails. And speaking of Indigenous round and, Doug Nicholls round, Huddo's history time, and it's got some links with the Indigenous history of Collingwood. Go ahead, Huddo.
It does this week, and it will next week as well. So a heads up for that one for people looking out for next week. Okay, so this week we're going to go into a few lesser known Indigenous players for Collingwood and sort of pioneers. So the first Indigenous player for Collingwood was Wally Lovett.
Mm-hmm.
Only played one season in 1982.
That's more seasons than I've ever played.
Exactly. And it's a bit of a disappointment that it took so long for us to have Indigenous players. I mean,
absolutely.
You go back through the history.
When he said 1982, I was expecting 1950, fucking 1920.
Yeah.
Like, fuck.
Exactly, yeah. Well, there was for a long time, there was a misconception that I think it's Norm LeBrun was Collingwood's first Indigenous player, but he was Jamaican heritage when they did some revision. And I think he played in the 50s. But even still then, that's one player. It's not
enough representation.
No, it really isn't. And I mean, we were far too slow to come come to the party when it comes to recognising Indigenous talent.
We're a bit slow to the party
And
for fucking everything. Paying
for a lot of
players.
things, yeah, paying players, paying them with fair wage, yeah. And it's been to our own detriment. It really has. So, yeah, Wally Lovett, he played one season, 15 games and 11 goals. So he actually had a really good season. Unfortunately, never played another game for the club after his first season, though. I've looked for information. I don't know why he didn't play after then. So if there's anyone who does know, I would love to know myself.
Yeah, please let us know via either the comment section of the episode on YouTube or Facebook, or just message us on Facebook or Instagram so we can find out and clarify that in next week's episode.
Yeah, definitely. Would love to know sort of where he is now as well. Is another good thing. Robbie Armat is the next player I'm going to bring up. I grew up watching Collingwood in the sort of mid-90s, and that's I was sort of young fella back then. Didn't have a great side, but I loved watching him. And Robbie Armat was one of those guys I thought was going to be an absolute superstar.
Yeah.
So he played 25 games, 22 goals over 3 years with the club.
That's not bad.
Not bad. Very talented player, but not quite as consistent as Collingwood had hoped. And in a stage where we were very poor on the field performance-wise, made it even harder to sort of retain the spot, especially once Tony Shaw had left and Nick Malthouse had come in. It was not a lot of those guys from that era stayed in the side very long once Nick got in.
Yes.
So yeah, he was a good player, not quite consistent, but showed some really good flashes. And he went on to play for Sydney. I can't tell you how many games he played for Sydney, but he didn't get a very big run of it at Sydney either. So,
but at least it's good to know that Collingwood wasn't his one and only club, and once he finished he got another chance.
Yeah, it wasn't just one and done with the club.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next guy is another guy. So I was in my sort of early 20s around his stage of playing at Collingwood. Brad Dick. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, what a talent! I think 5 goals on debut or in his second game on Queen's birthday against Melbourne. Absolute out and out talented, just looked amazing. Unfortunately for Brad, injuries ruined his career. He had 2 knee reconstructions.
And by that point, he was just gone with the knees.
Yeah, missed a season with the knee. I think he did his shoulder as well. And he's a guy who probably could have played in a grand final in 2010, if not for injuries. And even his 2011 form was really good, but once again, injuries had hindered him. So he played 27 games and 32 goals. So there are a couple of the sort of early Indigenous players we've had. Obviously, we've had other players which we will touch on next week, but it's definitely something that we A, haven't had enough of, and B, were far too slow to start finding that talent. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and now hopefully I've seen Collingwood do a lot of camps now in the Northern Territory. So hopefully we start to find some more, not just out of the Northern Territory, all around the country, because there's talented Indigenous players all throughout the country. It's time for us to start looking for some of them players, and I mean, it's better for the game. The more we get in, the more people we get in is just better for the game.
Exactly, it's amazing, and it really is. Like, I'd only ever heard of the only player I'd heard of that you just mentioned was Brad Dick, because I was a teenager around the 2010. I was 15, so that really opened my eyes as well, which is amazing to hear that. Like, but it's also granted the whole do better, but at the same time do better. 1982. Exactly, yeah. It took us literally 90 years of our existence. It's not good enough.
One of the other things I will say on that too is when Robbie Armat played for Collingwood, I think it was the second or third Anzac Day game, he actually had a complaint against one of the Essendon players. I think his name was Pryor, for racial vilification. The league didn't seem to take it seriously, and from the outside looking in, it didn't look like the club took it that seriously, which is sad. I mean, we've had a history as a club, not just recent, of not being supporters and players of not being very
supportive,
tolerant tolerant and supportive. And it's sad to see. I mean, people are people.
Yeah, that's it.
Doesn't matter what your skin color is. Doesn't matter what your gender is, or anything like that. I'm not very PC, so I'm not going to go too far into it. But people are people. Just treat people how you want to be treated. It's a pretty simple philosophy.
Exactly. And Shipper, you were going to chime in with something.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I was trying to remember what year the Michael Long and Damien Monkhurst. I remember that was a really significant step forward in the racism in Australia and football. AFL as a sport,
definitely, yeah,
big lead, and I think that's one of the good things about footy is that we can raise and forward the social issues as well,
and be able to progress forward from that. Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, guys. So if I remember rightly, that was 1 or 2 years before Robbie Armatt's complaint. If I remember rightly, Monkey gave a public apology to Michael Long in a press conference. I believe he was fined in the form of a donation, and he might have even been suspended for a week or two. And that might, in my opinion, is realistically a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
I mean, if what he had said was said in this day and age, and that was the response from the league,
he'd be stood down for the rest of the season.
Up in arms, and rightfully so. Yeah, and
absolutely.
Rightfully so.
Absolutely. But yeah, that's exactly it. But also at the same time, it was a different time, but still no excuse and no room for racism regardless. Yeah. But absolutely, it's a slap in the wrist. It's a slap in the wrist. But that's neither here nor there. But as in the grand scale of things, we've got a game coming up this week. Collingwood take on Fremantle, which we just previewed. And one thing I do want to mention, though, is we got the chocolates this weekend in the VFL and VFLW at the AIA Centre. They had a doubleheader, so well done to our VFL women and our men's teams, both getting the wins in that game. So there's not really more you could do. Also, though, Galway Magpies, it's an Ireland AFL team, Aussie Rules team. We've decided to team up with them to help promote them and their games and whatnot. Well done on their first round game. Unfortunately, they just came short. 5 minutes to go. It was 60 all, and they ended up losing 66-61. But hey, that's the name of the game. Well done to Galway Magpies, and let's hope they can take it goals away.